Broadcasting from the 72nd floor of First Canadian Place in the heart of Toronto's financial district, this is #Finance, the podcast that profiles innovative entrepreneurs and thought leaders operating in the public markets. Presented to you by the CSE, the Exchange for Entrepreneurs.
Hi, welcome to another edition of #Finance. I'm your host, Barrington Miller, and today I'm here with Johnson Joseph, CEO of Peak Positioning Technologies. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Barrington. Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here.
We are here today on the 72nd floor of First Canadian Place, and we did a market open. So congratulations. You've been listed on the CSE since 2015, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's right. Since 2015, and honestly, I think it's one of the best moves we've done. It's very simple, convenient, and the trading has been very smooth. Our shareholders are happy, so we're happy. Where
were you before you came to the CSE?
Well, we were listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, and things got a little complicated for us, particularly because, as you know, we operate primarily in China, and the CSE made things a lot simpler for us in terms of just about everything. So it was an easy decision for us to come over to the CSE.
And for our listeners and audience, I did not pay him to say that. That was on his own accord, and we appreciate the compliments and the sentiment. Now, what does Peak Positioning do? What is your main area and focus?
Okay. For those of you who are not yet familiar with the company, what we try to do is we try to use technology. We leverage technology to make commercial lending more efficient. And what I mean by that is, for instance, in China, there are over 100 million small and micro businesses. And those small and micro businesses, just like any other business, they will have needs for credit, for loans, and it's not always easy for them to get the funding that they need. And conversely, there are over 12,000 banks and non-bank financial institutions, and those non-banks and financial institutions also have to try to find the right clients to lend to. So it's not an easy thing for them either. So what we do is we leverage a platform called the Cubeler Lending Hub. And what the Cubeler Lending Hub does is that it brings together those small and micro businesses who are looking for funding together with the financial institutions who are also looking for the ideal businesses to lend to. So Cubeler is based on the notion that by gathering enough information on the small and micro businesses, for instance, Cubeler sometimes pulls data directly out of the accounting systems of these small and micro businesses. It also gleans information from publicly available sources, government websites, social media, the internet, that kind of stuff. And it takes all of this information, it analyzes the information, and on the other side, it asks the financial institutions to enter their specific credit criteria, what they're looking for. So if a financial institution, for example, is looking to lend to businesses in a particular industry, they want the business to have a specific profit margin, whatever. So they enter their criteria into the Cubeler Lending Hub, and Cubeler matches the small businesses with the right financial institutions. So everything is automated, and any small business that comes on the platform more than likely will be matched and receive credit offers from a variety of financial institutions.
So this sounds like a financial dating app. You're the middleman bringing two people or two parties together.
You're absolutely right, Barrington. We've heard that analogy before, and it's right on. That's essentially what we do.
What's the time frame? Like, so I have a small business in China. I put it in. What's the time frame? If there's a lending institution or institutions that have already put in their criteria, how long does it take? Like, is it instantaneous?
It's instant. Oh, wow. Like, I mean, we're talking the computing power of 2019, right? So everything is instantaneous. So the information goes to the system, and it analyzes the information, and automatically, if the small business is matched with lenders, it will be presented with credit offers.
And where does Peak make that money as far as the matching part?
Sure. We have several subsidiaries in China. One subsidiary is called Asia Synergy Data Solutions, and Asia Synergy Data Solutions actually manages the Cubeler Lending Hub platform. So for every transaction that happens on Cubeler, Asia Synergy Data Solutions gets a fee. We also have a subsidiary called Asia Synergy Credit Solutions, and what Asia Synergy Credit Solutions does is it tries to offer a turnkey service to larger banks. You know, even with the technology that we have, certain banks may not necessarily want to deal with small and micro businesses. So we have Asia Synergy Credit Solutions that does everything. Essentially, what they do is they become an outsourced arm of their credit department dealing with micro businesses. So if they don't want to deal with the micro businesses, Asia Synergy Credit Solutions will not only find the business to lend to, it will qualify the business. If there's any collateral to be registered, Asia Synergy Credit Solutions will take care of that and do everything to service the loan. So we also charge a fee for that. The third subsidiary I want to tell you about is Asia Synergy Financial Capital, which is itself a financial institution. So we actually make loans ourselves. We're fully licensed in China to make loans. It wasn't easy to get that license. For those who know the history of Peak, we did manage to get that license in collaboration with the Wuxi Municipal Financial Affairs Office in China. They were very supportive. They're actually very supportive of everything that we do in China because we're actually making commercial lending more efficient. We're helping small businesses grow their businesses and spur on the local economies in China.
With that third arm, what's your, do you have like a max limit, or is there like a sweet spot that you look for?
Typically, the loans will not exceed $50,000. We try to limit that on some very rare occasions. 50,000 Canadian dollars. Okay. Correct. Yes. On some very rare occasions, we will go as high as, I would say, $100,000 to $200,000. Typically, those are special cases, and our partners, when that happens, when there's a request for that amount coming from a client of Asia Synergy Financial Capital, we will get notification from our partners and here in Canada, and our management team has to approve any loan that exceeds that amount, that exceeds, let's say, $100,000. So we give approval, and then the loan goes forward at that point.
Wow, this is really, really exciting. And today is also a special day because I think you have some earnings or Q3 results that came out at 7:30 this morning. So if we were doing this podcast at 7:29, we could not talk about it. But since it's already out, what would you like to say about it?
Well, I think for the most part, I'm hoping that our shareholders are pleased with the progress that we've continued to show so far throughout 2019. We had some good results in Q1, also in Q2. We essentially doubled the revenue numbers from Q2 to Q3. So I'm hoping that our shareholders are pleased with the progress. But
I'm sure they will be.
One thing, a couple of things I want to mention though that are noteworthy is we have with this third quarter we generated our first operational profit. So our operations overall in Peak, it's a significant milestone.
That is a milestone.
It is a significant milestone for us. But one thing I want to mention is yes, the numbers are great, but what's behind the numbers is really the impact that we're having on commercial lending in China. It's very gratifying to see that we're helping small and micro businesses. We're talking sometimes, Barrington, one man, one man shops, 2 people companies, and we recognize that it's very challenging for those people to get funding. And here we come with our technology, and we're able to help them. It's very gratifying. So we're starting to have a significant impact on commercial lending in the 3 cities that we operate in China, and we will be looking to hopefully expand in the near future.
Speaking of expanding and growing and all of those positive things, you've recently been on a little bit of an acquisition train. I know that you had you did 2 recently, and you're in the process of looking at a third. Can you talk a little bit about what you're looking for? What does Peak look for when they want to acquire or looking at acquisitions?
Yes, absolutely. The first thing we look at is, does the company fit within our vision, right? We have a strategic vision. We know where we want to be
Right.
6 months from now, a year from now, or even 2 years from now. So the company itself, we look at technology companies, and we also look at companies that are well established into the commercial lending space in China. So if they're providing a service that is complementary to what we're doing, and we can use our technology to integrate what they're doing into our umbrella of companies, it's interesting for us. The second and perhaps the most important thing that we look at is the people running the company. So ethics is very important for us. Making sure that they will fit into the Peak family is very, very important, because we don't only want to acquire the companies, but we also want the entrepreneurs who have very often established those companies and that are running those companies to be part of the Peak family. So we want to make sure that they will also fit into the Peak family.
Now, we spoke, you and I spoke briefly earlier before the market opened, and we talked a little bit about the atmosphere in China, particularly the last year, Huawei, cell phones, and all of that. How did that affect your travel? Did that affect your business or the way that you approach business in China?
I have to be honest. Yeah, certainly what happened back in December 2018 did not, we didn't see it as a positive event,
Right.
even until now. So we were careful. Typically, we would have, had maybe 2 or 3 trips to China. We haven't traveled to China yet. We are going to China just this coming weekend. We're going to be in China next week. So we wanted the dust to settle a little bit with regards to the Canada-China relations, but our feeling is they have settled. We are part of the Canada-China Business Council, so we've been in touch with other members of the Canada-China Business Council who have traveled to China, and they've told us that things are fine, things are great in China. So there's a little bit there's more scare than actual
We just go with
reason.
what we read in the media,
what we see in the news and stuff like
all
that.
of that.
But our partners have been telling us all along. They've actually been making fun of us, to be honest with you, for not having traveled to China, because we.
But you don't know. You don't know.
I know.
It's better just to
better to be safe than sorry. But no. We're joking around. Honestly, I have to be honest. We didn't travel, but it wasn't really because we felt things wouldn't be safe or we would be treated unfairly. We obviously love China. We've been going there. We've been traveling to China since 2011. We have some great partners, great friends there, and I think the Canada-China relations remain strong. And our partners in China, and even at the local government level, they've been very, very supportive of Peak, and they also want to help show that there are no issues between Canada and China. So they've been very, very supportive of everything that we do in China.
So Johnson Joseph, for those who don't know, is a little bit of a man about the world, currently from Montreal. Now you speak French, you speak English. How's your Mandarin?
Well,
and the reason I'm going with this line of questioning is at the CSE and with #finance, we sometimes go towards the topic of food, and I want to know, when you go to China, what do you order? What's your go-to? What do you like? What's your what can you get there that you can't get here or in Montreal?
You know what? They're touching on the food issue first. Well, first of all, my Mandarin is I'm sorry to say is not up to par yet. I started.
It's ahead of mine. I know that.
I started on a program called Rosetta Stone, and I was making some for me, what I considered to be some decent progress, but things got too hectic, and I haven't had a chance to practice lately. But it is something that that I want to pick up. I'd like to be able to speak to our partners in their native language.
Yes.
They're also trying. We've kind of made a deal. They're learning. Some of them that don't know English yet. Mr. Chen and Mr. Zhou, I'm talking about you guys right now.
You're being called out.
Yeah. So you guys have to learn learn English just as I'm learning Mandarin so that we can communicate better with each other. But going back to the food thing, it's interesting that you
universal.
mentioned.
You don't need,
it is. It is.
You don't need to speak English or Mandarin to know I want to eat that. So.
Right. Yeah, there's obviously a lot of variety in China. Lots of vegetables that we don't see here in North America. Very tasty stuff. But my go-to meal in China is dumplings. I just love. I'm sorry. I just love dumplings. And
are they filled with anything?
Yeah. They're filled. Some of them are filled with. They make it's this. How can I? It's. You have beef, but it's spicy beef. That's like my favorite. So it's kind of like a meatball, if you can imagine.
Okay.
But it's a spicy meatball.
It's a spicy meatball.
It's a spicy meatball in the middle of the dumpling, and then there's this broth that comes with it. Fantastic. There's a lot of variety, but yeah, my go-to meal over there.
What's it called in Mandarin? You got to say it.
You know what? People usually order
for that.
Yeah. We have people that order for us because we don't want to get in trouble. We might order the wrong thing, and then next thing you know, you have an incident in China. No, so people order for us when we go over there.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, looking forward, 2020 and the future for peak positioning, what do you see? What's in your crystal ball, or what do you want to achieve, and how do you want to achieve it?
As I mentioned earlier, expansion. Now that we've firmly established the offering for our services in 3 cities in China, in Wuxi, Jiangyin, and in Xi'an, we will be looking at opportunities to expand our services beyond those 3 cities. We will be looking at Shanghai specifically. Obviously, that's a huge market for us. So anything that gives us an opportunity to expand our services is going to be our focus for the rest of 2019 and for the early part of 2020.
Wow, that's great. And this has been a wonderful, wonderful discussion. We value your listing. It's not just a good company, but there's also good people behind it. So this has been another fine episode with Hashtag Finance. I'm your host, Barrington Miller. And thank you, Johnson Joseph. Not Joseph Johnson, okay? Not Joseph Johnson. Thank you very much. And we look forward to hearing many great things coming from you.
Thank you, Barrington, for the opportunity. Really enjoyed spending some time with you here and with the CSE on this very special day. Thank you.
We're social here at the CSE. Each and every day we'll keep you up to date on trending topics that investors are talking about, such as cannabis, blockchain, and esports. Follow daily CSE news and events on your favorite social media platform: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You'll find exclusive interviews with leading entrepreneurs from a variety of industries, thought-provoking stories from across the world of finance, and updates from CSE events taking place worldwide. Join the conversation and connect with us today.